Some movies are good, some are just okay, and some are just sitting on Prime Video completely ignored, buried under the same 15 algorithm picks your watch list is already stuffed with. I spent 2 weeks scrolling so you don't have to, and pulled 10 sci-fi movies Prime Video is basically hiding from you. So, let's count down 10 Prime Video sci-fi movies that are certifiably insane, starting at number 10.
You didn't time travel, and you didn't go to heaven and hell. Here's a bill.
So, number 10, and I want to open soft because I need you on my side for the next half hour. This movie is basically a hug. Bill and Ted are middle-aged now, still married to medieval princesses, still spectacularly bad at adulting, and they've got one job left: write the song that saves the universe. That's the entire stakes of the movie, and somehow it's enough. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter slide back into these guys like no time passed at all. And honestly, their daughters steal the whole thing, running their own little time heist to recruit Mozart and Jimi Hendrix into a supergroup. There's also a killer robot going through a full identity crisis, which, relatable, buddy. Is the couples therapy subplot a little baggy? Sure, it drags in a couple spots. Doesn't matter when the whole movie is basically a love letter to friendship, creativity, and not giving up on yourself even after you've clearly peaked. Not even a little. This is comfort food cinema, the movie equivalent of your favorite hoodie. And it's the perfect on-ramp before this list gets significantly weirder. It's called Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, next up, we've got a genre blender that's more confident than it has any right to be. Totally killer. This is Halloween meets Back to the Future, except our final girl accidentally time travels into 1987 to stop a string of unsolved murders before they happen, and discovers her uptight, overprotective mom used to be the meanest girl in school. I did not make that up. I wouldn't want to. Watching this Gen Z kid get dropped into the 80s and immediately clock every outdated, cringeworthy thing about it, the casual sexism, the non-stop smoking, hair nobody asked for, is one of the funnier fish out of water setups I've seen in a while. She's not romanticizing the decade for a second, and that deadpan, absolutely not energy is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Full honesty though, the actual slasher kills are the weakest part of this movie. They're fine, they're serviceable, but they're clearly not what the film cares about. What it cares about is the mystery and the mother-daughter chaos, and on that front, it delivers. If you're coming for hardcore horror, temper expectations. If you're coming for something that knows exactly how ridiculous its own premise is, you're set. It's called Totally Killer. Number 8 is doing genuinely inventive things on what's very clearly an indie budget: Black Box. Our guy Nolan lost his memory and his wife in the same car accident, and now his own daughter is leaving him sticky notes just so he can function day to day. Rough, truly rough. To try and get his memories back, he agrees to an experimental hypnosis treatment using a literal black box device that lets him walk back into his own past. And almost immediately, things start feeling off. Distorted figures, wrong angles, the kind of visual unease that makes you lean in instead of look away. What I like here is that the movie earns its own internal logic instead of borrowing someone else's. It's not doing anyone else's homework. It builds its own rules for how memory and identity bend, then commits to them all the way into a genuinely twisty final act. Some scenes might feel disorienting in the moment, but that's the ride, not a flaw. This is confident, ambitious, slightly unsettling filmmaking punching way above its budget.
Do you think they need help?
Now this one, I will physically stop you on the street to talk about. Synchronic. Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan play New Orleans paramedics investigating a string of bizarre deaths, all connected to a new designer drug that sends whoever takes it exactly 7 minutes into a completely different point in time, while their body stays rooted in the exact same physical location. Sit with that for 5 seconds and it gets terrifying fast. This is from the directing duo behind some of the smartest low-budget sci-fi of the last decade, and they pull it off again here, building a genuinely mind-bending concept without needing a blockbuster budget to sell it. Mackie's character is carrying real weight and history underneath all the sci-fi mechanics, and the film isn't afraid to get quietly devastating about grief and what it actually means to lose something permanently. It's moody, it's smart, it trusts you to keep up without over-explaining its own rules, and the ending sits with you for days. This is the kind of movie that makes you frustrated on its behalf, because it deserves 10 times the audience it's actually gotten. It's called Synchronic, and if you only watch one thing off this entire list, seriously consider making it this one.
Nobody knows what happened to my dad.
Number 6, and we're going full hard eyes for a minute. UFO Sweden. Yes, Sweden, yes, UFOs. This one follows a teenage girl chasing down what actually happened to her dad, who vanished years earlier while completely obsessed with UFO sightings tied to Sweden's weather agency of all things. Her search leads her straight into an actual UFO hunting organization, full of the kind of lovable, chain-smoking weirdos you'd expect to find in a group chat titled We Believe. And instead of mocking these people, the movie treats them with so much warmth and respect that you end up rooting for every single one of them. It's part mystery, part coming-of-age story, part genuine sci-fi adventure, and it never feels overstuffed pulling off all three at once. The chemistry in this cast is doing heavy lifting, and the whole thing builds to set pieces way more ambitious than you'd expect from a movie you've probably never heard of. It's earnest in a way American blockbusters have mostly forgotten how to be. It's called UFO Sweden, and if you've ever wanted to believe in something bigger, consider this your sign.
We've been threatening to let viruses wipe us out for years. One finally called our bluff.
Now things get significantly more feral. Die alone. We're in full post-apocalypse territory here, except the villain isn't zombies or aliens. It's nature itself, mutating people into horrifying plant-based creatures called the Reclaimed. Shoot them in the head? Sure, that'll slow them down for about a minute before they get back up and keep coming. Our amnesiac lead is stumbling through this nightmare trying to find his missing girlfriend, and he ends up teaming up with a survivalist played by Carrie-Anne Moss, who brings this quiet, coiled intensity that had me halfway convinced Trinity just changed careers. Frank Grillo shows up too, radiating exactly the kind of "is this guy going to help us or gut us" energy he does better than almost anyone working right now. What actually gets under your skin is the bigger idea underneath all the creature feature stuff, that maybe the planet is just done being polite about how we've treated it. That's a genuinely unsettling thought to sit with, wrapped inside some seriously creative practical effects and real survival horror tension. It's called Die Alone, and it might make you look at your plant houses a little differently. Quick pause, because we're officially heading into the back half of this list, and I want to say this properly instead of just slapping a graphic over my face. If this list has already added 2 or 3 things to your watch list, that's genuinely the whole reason I make these videos. So go ahead and hit subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, smash the like button too. It costs you nothing but a thumb tap, and it's the easiest way to tell me, yes, more of this please. Okay, rant over. Let's keep going.
System failure. Replication process terminated.
What is this?
Number 4 is a slow burn creeper, and I mean that as the highest compliment. In Vitro. We're out on an isolated farm in the Australian outback where a married couple is cloning entire adult cows for beef production, which is already unsettling enough on its own, thank you very much, while their marriage quietly falls apart around them. Here's the thing about this movie. It never rushes. It lets the isolation, the eerie stillness of the farm, and the tension between this couple just marinate until you're gripping your blanket without realizing why. Something's wrong with this house. Something's wrong with this land. You feel it long before the movie tells you what it is, and that patience pays off with some genuinely unexpected turns in the back half. At under 90 minutes, it doesn't waste a single scene building this dread, and the atmosphere is doing so much heavy lifting that you'll forget how contained the whole story actually is. It's not flashy, it's not loud, and that's exactly the point. This is the kind of sci-fi thriller that gets under your skin and just stays there. It's called In Vitro, and it's proof that dystopia doesn't need a city skyline to feel terrifying.
Come on.
Miss Hanbury, you and your sister is her mysterious invention, LOLA.
Number 3 is the one that's gonna mess with your head a little, in the best way. LOLA. 2 genius sisters build a machine in their family estate that can pick up radio and television signals from the future. Cool concept on its own. Now set that whole thing during the lead up to World War II, shot entirely in grainy black and white like it's real found footage some historian just discovered, and you've got something that doesn't look like anything else on this list. The sisters start feeding intelligence to the British using what they've seen from the future, and it works. Until ego, jealousy, and some seriously uncomfortable moral math about whose lives are worth saving start creeping in. It plays like a documentary that shouldn't exist, and that illusion is so committed you'll forget you're watching a constructed film at all. It's a little disorienting on purpose, and if you need everything spelled out for you, this might test your patience. But if you let it work on you, it's hypnotic. Alternate history dressed up as intimate home movies, with a score that makes vintage camera footage feel like a thriller. It's called LOLA, and it's proof that low-budget filmmaking can still swing for something genuinely original.
Am I dead?
You're in a coma.
Number 2, and we are now in full mind meld territory, COMA. The premise alone should be a movie poster on its own. Everyone in a coma shares the exact same dreamscape built out of fragmented memories from every single person trapped inside it, constantly decaying and rearranging itself. Gravity doesn't work right. Buildings fold in on themselves. It looks incredible. Our lead is an architect whose brilliant, dismissed ideas suddenly matter in this broken dream world, and he links up with a group of fellow coma patients just trying to survive against these shadowy entities called Reapers that are actively consuming the world around them. Basically, the subconscious fighting to drag everyone back to reality before there's nothing left to wake up to. Yes, people are going to throw out Inception comparisons, and sure, I get it, but this has its own visual identity and its own rules, and the practical wire work paired with the CGI creates some genuinely jaw-dropping action sequences. This is Russian sci-fi filmmaking swinging for the fences on a scale that should honestly get more attention outside its home country. It's called COMA, and it earns every bit of its ambition. And number 1, the biggest, loudest, most I need to talk to someone about this immediately pick on the entire list, Masters of the Universe. This is the full He-Man reboot, leaning hard into 80s hair metal excess with a genuinely unhinged commitment I did not expect walking in. Jared Leto is doing something as Skeletor. I don't fully have the words. It's campy, it's menacing, it's got this delighted theatrical nastiness that honestly saves every scene he's in. Idris Elba and Camila Mendes are out here playing it completely straight, which somehow makes the chaos around them land even harder, and the score is dripping with rock guitar bombast that never once lets up. Is it a little messy? Sure. Some of the humor doesn't quite land, and it's clearly wrestling with bigger ideas about masculinity it doesn't always commit to. But messy and boring are two very different things, and this is never, not for 1 second, boring. It's swinging big, it's got real style, and it's exactly the kind of loud, ridiculous, big swing blockbuster energy that made me want to build this entire list in the first place. It's called Masters of the Universe, and it's an absolutely wild way to close out this countdown. Next up, 10 horror movies hiding on Netflix and Prime that nobody's watching, and you're gonna wanna track down every single one of them. If today's video helped, the like button goes a long way, and subscribe if you want more of these every week. Either way, I'm gonna keep making them as long as you keep watching. Thanks for spending movie night with me. See you on the next one.